Now I'm ready for my background stitch, and this is going to be a Hungarian stitch, and I'm going to anchor with a loop start. I took out 2 strands of my silk floss, a very long length. I folded it in half so I have this loop here at the top, and I will come up 1 canvas thread away from where I'm going to put my loop. And I'm trying not to put my loop start at the beginning or ending of a stitch. And this will in fact be covered up by the longest stitch of the Hungarian. So now my thread is anchored and I'm ready to begin stitching. So the first thing I want to do is to do a complete run of the regular full-size stitch. Before I do any compensating, I'm going to lay my stitches so that my silk floss is nice and smooth. Hungarian is a short stitch, a long stitch, and a short stitch. The long stitch should share a hole with the bound cross border. This first row should. So after you do a short, long, short, then you skip. The row of Hungarian stitches that comes under this row, the long stitch will end right there. When you're stitching Hungarian stitches, you will notice that if you look at it vertically, there are only long stitches in the rows of long stitches, and there are only short stitches in the rows of short stitches. This is useful for when you are trying to stitch around an area, because you want to make sure that the pattern of your Hungarian stitches carries through and presents an even pattern, even flow around the interruption. And so as you're stitching, you'll see that only long stitches are going to be in this row. Only short stitches are going to be in this row. Now the compensating stitches don't count in that, because there will be some with shorter stitches with the longer rows. But the general rule is vertically, when you look at the rows vertically, you don't stitch it vertically, but when you look at them vertically, there will always be long stitches in rows with long stitches and short stitches in rows with short stitches. This pattern is very easy to compensate, and compensating is just partial stitches to complete the pattern. So I will have partial stitches to complete the pattern along the top edge and along the sides and where it's going to meet here. So I'm going to continue stitching all of the Hungarian stitches, and I'll come back and show you the completed project.